The name of the episode?
Yes. Yeah. We're taking, it's not a hard left, but we are certainly steering into camp.
A little.
We're steering into camp. I don't think it's a bad idea.
No.
I would caution them from going
maybe pump the brakes a little.
Much. Once you're in, like, gold lame togas,
okay. All right, the togas were white.
It's turned into a different thing. Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Yellowjackets Season 2, Episode 2.
Edible Complex.
Wow. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I went straight to Thaisa.
Look, okay, here's the thing for me, is like, I have a decent amount of sympathy for adult Thaisa because she's clearly going through it. She's fighting for her life.
Okay.
I understand. Young Thaisa has a real lot of nerve being so, like, out of control about what Shauna's doing with Jackie in the meat shed when she is, like, gnawing herself free of her girlfriend so she can go try to run off a cliff. And no one else knows that she's eating dirt and trying to, like, chomp
she also
Van's face.
Saw that, like, eyeless...
The no-eyed man.
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
Man, which she saw again, or once before, or at least once that I recall.
When her grandmother died.
In season 1 in modern day.
Yeah. Did she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or was it the flashback?
I think it was when her grandmother died, when she was a girl.
I thought Thaisa saw him, like, across the street.
Maybe. I don't recall that specifically, but it could be.
Might be merging with Hereditary.
Woohoo! Big summer blowout.
Oh.
I might be merging.
Oh, no.
Two things that I watched at the same time. Regardless, that feels like it's got to be something.
Yeah.
Oh, Tawny Cypress came to play.
She's doing amazing.
I mentioned that I liked her on Heroes, season 1 of Heroes that she was on, and then I just sort of didn't see her for a while, and now she's in this, and she's like, bitch, you thought. I think it's so interesting. Are her eyes red this season?
Okay, I noticed it last week too. I don't know what's going on. If that's like she is wearing contacts, or if like the light never hit her eyes that way in season 1.
I think Tawny has like very warm eyes, but
they are looking like the irises are looking very red.
She is fully hallucinating. Well, she's not sleeping.
No, on purpose. She's like drinking espressos by like the gallon full, which I don't know about anybody else. I was gonna say something really disgusting, but like that would not feel good for my digestion, and I'll leave it at that.
It's just a log flume.
I don't understand.
And then, so she hallucinated. What's the kid's name?
Sammy.
I was like, I know Stevie.
No, the dog.
The dog. She hallucinated him coming to her house, calls Simone. Simone comes. They think he ran away. They're trying to go find him, and the school calls, and he was been there the whole time. And so Simone lets her have it.
Yeah, no, you're fine with that, but we'll get back to it because there's a moment. But like, let's talk for 1 minute about the attitude of that school worker.
She was really...
This isn't a boarding school, Simone!
It's been 2 hours, and it... I mean, I don't know if this is the first time, or this is like a pattern of behavior.
It doesn't feel like it... whatever.
Ty seemingly made a deliberate decision.
Yeah.
To accelerate.
Straight into a red light.
And they were hit from the side. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Simone. Simone is absolutely in the right.
Yeah,
she's the good person in this scenario, but part of me is a little good riddance.
Well,
because she's buzzkilling my crazy show.
Okay, all right. Here's the thing, though, is like, I don't want a child to be murdered.
No, I don't think she's gonna murder the child because
she murdered Biscuit.
The child's nowhere near her. If we know one thing.
Yeah, but if Simone is dead, then Ty gets custody.
Oh. Man.
Also,
and also
she's supposed
like
to be a senator. Where is she senatoring at? Like, she's not doing work. But that was what triggered her, is that Simone was like, I can't let you be his mom like this. And she heard it and looked at her, and then she looked back forward and she accelerated straight into a red light.
Well, I was going to hit Callie next. We got a comment that was empathetic towards Callie, and it was fair. I was like, yeah. And
I'm empathetic towards Callie.
I really wasn't.
I think she's not. I think her attitude could use an adjustment. And also, bitch, you're 17 and you're making bad choices. And here's all the evidence from this episode. You're doing tequila shots, first of all, and then you switch to Fireball. That was your first mistake. And then your second mistake was that you didn't even realize a cop was pumping you for information about your family.
I don't remember what all Callie knows. I watched season 1 last year. She doesn't really know about the wilderness, right?
No, but like neither did Jeff. But she knows about the affair. But she.
So my point is like, given the information that she has, I think I understand her attitude or her like.
Well, sure, she's just being a normal teenage girl
because her parents are lying to her,
of course,
and they're.
But also, they like are lying to her so poorly, and she has enough information to know.
Well, they're so preoccupied with something else,
yeah,
and they're not treating her like she's important or matters. So I get that. This episode especially did a lot for me, kind of coming around on her a little bit, especially when she towed the company line when Kevin was there.
Yeah,
I found that interesting. I just think she's not as smart as she thinks she is.
Of course not. She's 17.
I think she is woefully underestimating her mother.
Well, that for sure. If there's one thing
because Shauna's trying.
Shauna is trying, but the other thing is like, so Callie also isn't, she's not, she doesn't have 100% proof that Shauna murdered Adam. But she's like, well, he's gone now, and you were having an affair with him. Something is suspicious. And so it's like, I think even having like a 50% suspicion that your mom may have murdered her
boyfriend,
extramarital lover, is enough to maybe like ease back on the attitude and everything. And like maybe give your mom a break.
I don't know. It's the attitude. There's something about the fact that she clearly knows other things are happening, yet she's acting like she's on top of it. And also I think her boyfriend was kind of cool.
He was
great. And I think she was awful.
Well,
his mom was like gonna make them chocolate pancakes.
Yeah.
And
that I would have maybe waited to break up with him until I had eaten the chocolate chip pancakes and then been on my way. She's also like chain vaping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't. Is it weed or is it just
who knows?
Nicotine? I don't really care, except for like I'm not sure. Knowing as much as she does, it's safe for her to be going around blazed out of her mind all the time.
Missy is in a kind of tete-a-tete with...
His name is Walter, I believe. It's Elijah Wood.
Yeah, he seems to know who she is, and he seems to kind of understand that things are happening.
Yeah. Well, he's still going on about Adam's murder and that it's like the husband of a guy that he was having an affair with. And that is what Kevin was like, well, you were texting him a lot because they have like phone records or whatever. And she's like trying to cover and she's like, well, he turned out to be kind of an asshole. So I had to really push for him to like pay for the fender bender or whatever. I just feel like she didn't make sure there was enough of a paper trail because like, to my knowledge, she never actually got the fender fixed. And like, if they subpoena the insurance records, there's going to be no record of any interaction. So I don't know, Shauna, maybe you should have kept Misty around. Maybe you should be answering Misty's phone calls.
So apparently Misty and Walter are potentially going to like tag team some dude at the motel pretending to be FBI agents. We'll see. He
also came to her work under the guise of seeing if it was an okay enough facility to put his mom in. I don't know who that old lady was.
I kind of assumed two things were true, but maybe you're right. Maybe yours is.
I don't know. Misty absconded with one of the patients in season 1 to like go to dinner with her, but he like made eyes at her across the way, and then he left her a note in blacklight ink. So
I also not an apology. I was gonna say I owe Simone Kessel an apology. And it's not an apology, but I said something that I was like, I wish that she was more of a stunt cast with adult Lottie, and I thoroughly enjoyed her here. I worship at the altar of Lottie.
Okay. If we're going to the teenage girls
merging into.
Yeah. I don't really. There's like 3 of them who are like, ew, Lottie, why would I ever do what you're asking me to do? And I'm like, what? What is it? It's not, because it's Nat is like, no, and Ty is like, absolutely not. And then Shauna is just sort of like drowning in grief.
Oh, well, Lottie was there for Shauna.
Lottie was there for Shauna. But the thing for me is I'm like, first of all, why is just doing something ritualistic the bridge too far for you? You know,
it's a slippery slope.
As we see. But my point is like, it's not hurting anything to like have Lottie do a blessing before you go out for the hunt or whatever. It's like whatever. And so it is like still very interesting to me which ones of them are like all in and which ones of them aren't.
It's also a fascinating show because on any other show, of course, I would be suspicious of the psychic cult leader. Like, I would be like, you're full of shit. Like, you're a huckster, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But with the information the show is giving us, Lottie's the real deal, or certainly real enough to take seriously.
She is, like, certainly having visions. And so I do...
And again, it's giving us, like, the flashback to her as a child. And so, like, the show is plying us with information that affirms. Like, we don't have proof, but it's sort of like leading us to believe these things.
Right.
So when she says that, like, Javi, is Javi the...
Yeah, the younger brother.
That Javi's alive. I mean, Javi's alive.
Okay. Yes. Nat goes through a whole thing where, like, she and Travis split up when they're going out for their, like, hunt and search that day. And she does a whole thing where she has stolen a pair of his pants from his suitcase, ripped them, cut her own leg, and then put blood on them so that she could, like, help Travis move on, essentially. Even though Lottie is like, he's definitely still alive. And she gets into it with Lottie when they get back. And so that is some of the stuff that, like, carries over into the present day that I like so much. Because the Lottie and Nat scene at her... It's a cult. At her cult are, like, so interesting. The fact that they still have these juxtaposing views, even though at some point Natalie has to come around a little bit, because at the end of this episode, we are all together now eating people.
It's just so interesting contrasting it, because, like, in modern day, I'm on Natalie's side, or that is I'm on Lottie's side. But the general consensus would be that, again, Lottie's the huckster and Natalie's our quote unquote hero. But then when you're contrasting it with the past stuff, it's like teen Natalie. I'm like, no, you're not. This is not the way. Like, this is not the right.
I don't know, man. It's so interesting. And, like, again, I said it like 3 times out there. There is going to be egg on everyone's face when Javi is in that melted tree stump.
Lost Boys style.
He's been surviving on the water that's dripping.
And mushrooms.
There's no way he's not alive.
But
at
even,
this
like,
point.
the flashback with Lottie and Travis, I think she's withholding things, but I don't know that I think she's lying.
Yeah, well, because that was very strange. There were 2 moments in this episode where it got, like, extremely supernatural, like where it.
That's what I was
where
like,
it crossed the line.
It's really, I'm like, we're just dealing with magic on this show.
And that was the first one where he was, like, having a really hard time, and he was like, I have to. When it was like you and Van, when you were super close to death, you saw something. And, like, I need to know what it wants so I can make it go away. So he was like, I'm going to hang myself from this crane until I pass out so I can see. And he was like, if you don't help me, I'm going to do it anyway. And so she's like, okay, fine, I'll help you. And she lifts him up, but then the button won't go, like, back down. And
I'm with Natalie.
That's where I'm a little suspicious.
I'm with Natalie calling that out.
Yeah.
But then I believe Lottie when she was like, accident, like,
well,
it was
sure.
like she was so straightforward.
Yeah.
That, like, she didn't seem shifty.
Okay. she didn't seem shifty until she said, because Natalie was like, why didn't you call me if he was that bad off?
She did lie there.
And she absolutely lied when Lottie was like, he told me you would only make it worse. And I'm like,
footage not found.
Bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. There's no way. Given what we have been led to believe about Travis and Natalie's relationship, I'm calling bullshit. If we have missed a moment where Natalie like burned it to the ground somehow and is like selectively misremembering that, then whatever. But like as the information stands now, that was a lie from Lottie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that Travis would have said that.
Because I'm also curious. So she has a vision of my girl Laura Lee.
Yeah.
Didn't convey that part either. And it was the vision was eerie, was like scary in its own right, but so eerie that when Lottie allowed herself to be distracted by this vision, you see in the background Travis's body just levitate, like
up
just
and
lifting
up and up. Yeah.
And that, because at first I was sort of like, well, Lottie, I mean, I know that you're a thin woman, but like pick him up. Like,
yeah, pick him up and it wasn't like a full noose. It was like a band kind of thing.
But she was distracted by this vision of and I had forgotten that Lottie and Laura Lee had kind of a like.
Well, yeah, because after Lottie's pills ran out, she like went to Laura Lee and she was like, "Can I ask you about the?" And she baptized her in the water.
And so Laura was carrying the bear. Yeah. And her face turned ghastly.
Yeah.
I want to know what that means. I want to know.
Well, because then
if it is just a vision or if it like.
But then when Travis and Natalie were having sex, Lottie was like,
in the room,
like there, not physically, but there was like a vision, an apparition of Lottie like touching
Astral,
his chest and like moving them and stuff. It very, very weird and cool.
Shauna has been continuing down this path.
Also, Jackie's just as much of a bitch as dead as she was alive.
Okay, but my favorite part about this is that's not Jackie.
No,
that's Shauna.
Well, it's Shauna projecting Jackie. It's like she knew what Jackie was like.
But I'm like, those aren't words from beyond the grave.
No, of course not.
That's Shauna's version of Jackie.
Yeah, she's a bitch.
I'm Team Jackie.
No, I love Jackie. I'm just saying she's also a bitch.
She's a fucking caboodle. And she did her makeup.
Yeah. Well, she also, it's like the inflection she puts on certain things because she was like, how's that working out for your baby? It's just like, whoa.
Well, for me, it was when she was like, Jeff only slept with you because I made you into someone else. And you only slept with him so you could feel like me. Again.
No, yeah.
That's Shauna saying
that.
Yeah. So that's kind of confirmation that Shauna.
Sure. And if we take that as fact, then it's actually remarkable what a healthy marriage they do have today. Am I wrong?
So anyways, the girls, Thaisa decides enough is enough and decides that they're going to
cremate Jack.
All I had was immolate, and I was like, I mean, that's accurate,
but not. So technically, it's not a cremation because, like, cremation chambers, the temperature is like way, way high. Like a standard wood fire doesn't get that high. If only.
It seems like Lottie. She took note of the wound.
Yeah, because also, Shauna cut her arm as well. I was gonna say this earlier. I think the young Lottie to adult Lottie pipeline is one of the stronger actress connections. I think the two of them I can believe that like young Lottie turned into adult Lottie. Like it's like her for me, it's her and Shauna are like the most together. What?
I think all the casting's great. Like, I think everybody's doing a great job. But I find teen Shauna much squirrelier than I find adult Shauna. And I know Melanie can do it. It comes out. Adult Shauna just seems to be more grounded. Like the scene where she goes to Callie and is like, let's, spend some time together. Yeah. Like, it's like she's still trying to parent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think that it's like really interesting going from this like really high intense scenario where you're stranded in the woods and like obviously Lottie looks strung out. They're all a little strung out, but it's then like to be able to pivot that into what she's doing as an adult. I don't know. I find it very fascinating.
the production is fantastic.
Yeah.
Across the board. But this episode was very interestingly shot.
Yeah.
There were a lot of I didn't write down the director's name, but there were a lot of
His name is Ben Seminoff.
there was a lot of the ways things were framed, like when Shauna was braiding Jackie's hair and Jackie's in the foreground and Shauna were focused on Shauna in the background, and Shauna's looking at the ear hole, and it was framed just at the top of the screen where we just catch like a glimpse
just
of it.
the bottom. Yeah.
And also there was a shot of Shauna and Callie in their kitchen, but it was framed through that like window into the kitchen next to a painting, and so it just had this like suburban tableau.
Yeah.
The whole episode was very interestingly shot, but they were having the magic sex, and then like magic wind was like whoo, and it like dumped the snow onto. Is that? I mean, I followed the logic and the science, but how?
So basically, it killed the fire enough that it slow roasted her instead of burning her.
Okay.
So it's sort of, it's like almost how you bake like pigs, like a luau.
I just didn't know if like making the top cold or like
not necessarily cold, but it's like because of how it landed and how much snow it was, it basically made a crust over the top of her.
That's what
So it was like, and the fire went down enough that it was like slowly cooking her, and then by the time they went out there, all of the snow had melted, so she was cooked
Basting.
all the way through, but yeah. Essentially, yes.
Because when it happened, you guys were like, "Oh no!" And then they all do wake up, like in the middle of the night. And
well,
like,
Coach is like, whoosh. He's like, "What is that?"
They're like ravenous, which I actually do know that is true because Maria Bamford has a bit. Her sister's a pathologist, and she talks about how like she can't work if she's hungry because she's like, it smells like barbecue.
Yeah,
like she's like, "We're just meat, you guys."
Yeah, we really are.
I also actually really felt for Shauna when they were taking Jackie's body to like burn it. And again, Lottie was the only one that was like tending to her emotional state.
Like, give her a minute.
Whether or not it was good, like whether or not she needs to be indulged in this moment.
Yeah.
It just seems like Lottie's the only one that's like actually, because even Natalie and Travis had the conversation where Travis is sort of like someone needs to be the preacher.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Everyone
to
has
an
a job to
extent,
do.
yeah. And Lottie's, I guess she's good at it.
Yeah. I also think it was a mistake
or is she steering them straight to hell? I don't know.
Well, we're all really breezing past that opening scene from the pilot where they are hunting a girl through the woods till she falls in a pit.
And serving it to the deer queen.
Whoever that is was wearing Jackie's necklace, which Shauna got in this one. I do think they made a mistake not keeping Jackie's jacket.
Oh, yeah.
But
I loved Van's, like, it's worth debating.
Yeah. Also, I'm sure Jackie tastes delicious, but like, there's how many chemicals there are in the leather sleeves of a Letterman jacket.
I wondered about that.
And like polyester wool.
I wondered about that.
Barf. Oh, and then they went ham, and it was really interestingly intercut with them all in like togas and gold jewelry and stuff, just chowing down on a feast, and then chowing down on Jackie. And except for Coach, he was like ruh-roh and like hobbled himself back inside.
For me, that was sort of like I was like, really, is this where you're drawing the line? And then I thought, I mean, if a line needs to be drawn, that's a pretty solid place.
I feel like it might be like a handful of things. Like, I think part of it is like, I think it's kind of him realizing that he has not really been doing a good job.
that he is in no way, shape, or form in control of this situation.
No. So that's, I think, part of it. And then part of it is like, well, can I eat a girl who was under my care?
Teenager.
Like,
I didn't even consider that.
Yeah. And it's also like they are also all adolescents.
I'm like, they're
They are all adolescents, but he is like at least 30. And so I think he's realizing the gap that they're in now, because they also are like, they're in it enough, and all your hormones and your brain chemicals are like heightened enough that you're like,
It's that thing. It's like they have the
Yeah.
ability to make these decisions, but not the rationality
or
to
like
do it.
or like the capacity
Yeah.
to necessarily deal with them. And so I think in his mind he's like, well, now they're cannibals, and like I can't do that.
But again, it's like I feel they made this a solid 2 months.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they were 11 hours in and was like,
No, yeah.
we ain't clear.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
You're right.
So, good show, fun show,
So good.
crazy show.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we will return next week, and we'll talk about that episode.
Bye.